Renaldo. Riley. One big happy family. That's the way we became the ACC bunch. ACC Live is next. On ACC Live, Tajh Boyd, Jameis Winston, you have our attention.
What a remarkable Houdini job by Jameis Winston.
They each had 5 touchdown performances, and college football fans are going nuts over next week's game. Who has the inside track now on the BCS title game and the Heisman?
There's Heisman Trophy candidates all over the field.
ACCDN analyst Renaldo Wynn breaks that down, and hot topics that have ACC fans buzzing. And Wake Forest great Riley Skinner picks his division favorites. All this on ACC Live now. Welcome to ACC Live. I'm Jeff Fischel. Yes, I am flying solo right now, and while that can be more ACC entertainment and knowledge than most people can tolerate in a day, there is actually more. I will have Renaldo Wynn and Riley Skinner join me a bit later, but first, my usual ACC Live partner in crime, Clinton Portis, just sent us a message in a bottle. Actually, it's a twit pic. There he is. We send him down to the U, to Miami, putting something together on his canes, and he's speaking to the team today. If you want to follow what Clinton and I are doing, your best move is to follow the network on Twitter at the ACCDN. But what I want to know right now, we'll keep following Clinton and keep up with his day. What I want to know right now, if your team is trailing with 4 minutes left, who would you rather have as your quarterback? Tajh has a long, impressive body of work. Jameis has been incredible. Who do you want? Who do you trust in that last big minute of play? Tweet us at the ACCDN, Boyd or Winston. The truth is, and this is not an exaggeration, the ACC will dominate the college football conversation for the next week and a half leading up to the Florida State-Clemson game. The first BCS poll comes out right after that game, but several outlets have done their best guess at what it would look like today. Alabama #1 in all 3 of these. Clemson #2 in a couple of them. Florida State is 3 in the Anderson and Hester BCS estimate. The winner will likely be #2 in the first BCS poll. Now remember, Oregon and Stanford play later this year as well. Alabama and Georgia could meet again in the SEC title game. Everyone understands one thing. The reality of it all is keep winning. And that leads us right to the buzz. So much buzz and anticipation for the Tigers and Noles. Obviously, Clemson needs to beat Boston College first. But assuming they do, this just becomes perhaps the biggest regular season game in ACC history. Florida State blog site warchant.com tweeted out some comments from Noles wide receiver Kenny Shaw. There they are right there, giving props to the fans in Death Valley. He says they are a 12th man and the ground shakes there. We know this. It's the primetime game next Saturday, 8 p.m. I've actually been having fans tweet me today telling me the acoustics at Death Valley are awesome, and that helps make it so loud. I'm assuming the game day crew will be there as well for an awesome, awesome show. From Death Valley to Not So Happy Valley. Imagine if Clemson oversold next week's game at Penn State. That's what happened. The school says too many student tickets were sold for the Michigan game this Saturday. They're offering a discount on next year's seats if you give back your seats for the game. There's no way you'd get Clemson students to do that next week. No way. Or imagine if you're a senior. What good does next year do you? One fan made the comment that I think crystallizes my thoughts perfectly. Sounds like the alumni want more seats. Houston Texan fans, you need to stop it right now. Former Virginia quarterback Matt Schaub had to call police because fans showed up at his house and were reportedly harassing his family. This is after Schaub struggled again Sunday for the Texans. I will let Miami sports info guru Chris Yandel, a friend of the show, sum up my thoughts. Quote, "It's just sports. Get a grip on reality." Schaub called police. The guys were gone by the time police arrived. You know, Schaub is really well liked within the organization. I certainly hope he gets things turned around quickly. And that is the buzz. Now, a lot of people seeing that story and asking, Texan fans, are you serious? Sure, Clinton isn't here, but that doesn't mean we can't ask the question we ask every week, the question that has puzzled the Illuminati, Masons, clerics, and rabbis for centuries. Yes, are you serious? Now, we've been asking you to send us your Are You Serious ideas. And remember, you get a free ACCDN t-shirt if we mention you on the air. This week's winner, Jarrett Glass. He says, Syracuse taking on Clemson for their first ACC game. Really? Are you serious? It's true. It was just rude. Syracuse gets welcomed to the ACC by the #3 team in the country. And the scoreboard doesn't lie. You know, the same thing happened to Pittsburgh as well. They lost big at home to Florida State. There's some pain if you want to be in the cool clique. Click. So Syracuse fans still hurting from that loss. You can't blame them for saying we had to open with Clemson. Are you serious? No graphic for me for that? Da-da-da. By the way, it got me wondering who will Louisville Open ACC play with next year. My prediction right now, Louisville opens the season next year against the ACC champ. And Jarrett, thank you. Great topic. And you win a free T-shirt. I forgot it. I'm supposed to have it with me. See, it's live. It's live. I'm supposed to have this orange T-shirt. Jarrett gets one. If you want a T-shirt, tweet at the ACCDN with your "Are you serious?" ideas. Now, I asked at the top of the show, which quarterback would you trust more for some late-game heroics? Jameis Winston or Tajh Boyd? Tweet us at the ACCDN. Pick one. No riding the fence. They've both been making video game plays and putting up video game numbers. See, I promised I wouldn't be alone the entire show. Look who's here. Renaldo, Wynn, your debut on ACC Live.
I'm ready.
He and I tape the previews every week for every ACC game, but this time it's live. So no, wait, I need to start over.
The pressure's on.
That's right, absolutely. Now, he's a Notre Dame guy, but these days that is good enough for ACC Live. Time to take your stand on the important issues, storylines in the ACC. Let's start with the Heisman. Tajh Boyd or Jameis Winston? Who's your pick right now?
I'm buying famous Jameis Winston in Florida State. He's doing an unbelievable job. 17 touchdowns, Jeff, and he has a 213 quarterback rating. So, correct me if I'm wrong, he kind of reminds me of a guy last year in Johnny Manziel for Texas A&M, and he's beating his numbers this time from last year.
Now, I know some others would say, well, what about Tajh Boyd? He's been in some blowouts, so he hasn't been able to pile up those touchdown numbers, but there's no doubt Jameis has been awesome. All right, so unless monkeys start flying from Oz, Jameis Winston, we know, will be the ACC Rookie of the Year. Who's the best ACC newcomer whose name doesn't rhyme with famous?
I got to go with Tyler Boyd, the freshman again. University of Pittsburgh Panthers having an unbelievable year, second in the ACC, only to his teammate Devin Street. So this guy, I want to give you a few intangibles. Not only is he a great player, but his mom says he was first in walking 8 months. He started walking, no training wheels, riding a bike. So this kid was destined for greatness.
That's some serious research right there. I love how the defensive guy went with an offensive player. So I'm going to pick a defensive guy for Rookie of the Year. I like Brandon Faison from Virginia Tech. Leads the ACC in interceptions. So good. Frank Beamer wants to use him on offense as well as wide receiver, but they're both great picks.
I give you that.
All right. Speaking of the Hokies, it looks like Virginia Tech or Miami have the best shot at winning the Coastal, though Pitt has been very good as well. Renaldo, who is your Coastal favorite?
I got to go with the U, and the reason why is because they have great defense. When you have great defense, you can win championships, and they have a great defense, and they remind me of the old defense of old back in the day, putting pressure on the quarterback, being disruptive, and they also have some great offensive weapons. Duke Johnson, Stephen Moore's been doing an awesome job, so I got to go with the U.
There's no doubt the defense looks much improved this year as opposed to 2012. Now, for the first time ever, the ACC has 3 5-0 teams, Clemson, Florida State, and the Hurricanes. So which one, in your opinion, is best positioned, has the right makeup to be a national title contender?
Well, even though I like the U, you put in Florida State in there, and I can't leave out famous Jameis Winston as the general at quarterback, so I got to go with FSU. And they had a statement game when they beat Maryland 60-something to 0, and I really believe their defense is really playing great ball just as well as their offense.
Of course, we know Florida State Clemson coming up not too far away. The key there could be that Clemson's at home. It might give them a slight edge, but you still like the Noles.
I got to go with the Noles. I got to go. And they play each other, so we'll see pretty soon.
Right. October 19th.
Yeah.
Hey, there's your debut on ACC Live. Well done.
How'd I do?
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you. So let's look at those division races. I like to call them the Coast and the Atlantical. Start with the Coast. It's early, but Miami and Virginia Tech are the only two undefeated in conference play. They meet November 9th at Miami. Don't ignore Pitt, though. The Panthers' only loss is to Florida State, and there's no shame there. Let's get to the Glamour division. Tigers and Noles, both 3-0. Florida State has the bye this week. The biggest tests both teams face after next week, the big SEC rivalry games on Thanksgiving weekend, Clemson at South Carolina, Florida State at Florida. I asked former Wake Forest great and former tag team partner Riley Skinner to break down the division races right now.
Well, I think you got to take a step back and look at what game is going to decide the Atlantic Division. That's Florida State at Clemson. They're playing at Clemson, and I think famous Jameis, you got to put them up against Tajh Boyd, who's got the experience. At the 8 o'clock game, when game day will probably be there, I'm going to have to go with a veteran quarterback in Tajh Boyd. He's been in this position before between LSU and the Georgia win right now. He's proven that he's ready for that limelight. This is a guy who is really leading one of the best offenses in the country. I'm going to have to say Clemson. You got a Miami team right now who I think is the best team in the Coastal. They're tied with Virginia Tech in defensive statistics so far this year. They have made tremendous strides from 2012 to 2013 on defense. But you look at their offense is leaps and bounds above Virginia Tech's right now. And this is an offense that's averaging about 44, 45 points a game. Stephen Morris is slinging the ball around very well. Duke Johnson in the backfield. They just have much more diversity on offense, and that's why I think they're better than Virginia Tech in the long run. Virginia Tech's been holding on for dear life in a couple of these games.
All right, Riley doesn't trust Virginia Tech enough. They're in for a tough test from the one team that really seems to have the Hokies figured out, the Pitt Panthers. That's coming up.
Spiller and Merriweather, the backs. Beside Proctor and out of the backfield is going to be Spiller, the freshman, in space, where he is lethal. Shaking, rocking, lacerating that defense. C.J. Spiller with the turbo kicking in. C.J. all the way.
Welcome back to ACC Live. I'm Jeff Fischel. Former Clemson star C.J. Spiller, now Buffalo Bill, that lacerating touchdown against Boston College in 2006. It was Spiller's first college touchdown in just his second college game, and that is our throwback game this week, 2006, Clemson and Boston College. We'll stream it at this time tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. Follow us on Twitter as well, at the ACCDN. I'm taking it over to tweet smart, witty things sprinkled in amongst an onslaught of my not terribly smart or witty tweets. But will one of this week's games be considered a throwback classic years from now? Pitt and Virginia Tech are the early games Saturday at noon. Then at 12:30, the Naval Academy launches an attack at Wallace Wade. 3 games at 3:30, including BC at number 3 Clemson, and then the 7 o'clock game on ESPNU, Georgia Tech facing BYU in Utah. The one I'm really watching, though, 3-1 Panthers, 5-1 Hokies, because Pitt is the one school that seems to have figured out how to solve the Hokies.
Team that we've had a hard time beating. They've gotten us the last 4 times, and going back and checking, Alabama hasn't done that. LSU hasn't done that. Texas A&M hasn't done that. Clemson hasn't done that. Florida State hasn't done that. Miami hasn't done that. But Pittsburgh has.
We want to get this one back from last year. The way they put a beating on us, we want to turn it around, especially get another chance to play these guys at home.
Florida State loses a starter not just for the Clemson game, but for the season. This is the ACC Now, brought to you by Ruby Tuesday. Safety Tyler Hunter had surgery to fix a bulging disc in his neck. Won't play again this season. Hunter got hurt early in the game against Bethune-Cookman. Took to Twitter after the surgery and sounds upbeat, quote, "Noel Nation, no worries. I will be back next year, bigger, faster, and stronger. Minor setback for a major comeback, though, Noles." That means true freshman Jalen Ramsey will be back there trying to stop Tajh Boyd and the Clemson passing game. Yep, it's the game of the century, but Boyd says first, the Tigers have to get past Boston College.
I mean, naturally, everybody wants to talk about the Florida State game. Just being honest with it, family members, this and that. But again, you have to remind them that another game's coming before that one. So, I mean, if you don't take care of your business this game, then it won't even matter when you get to that next game.
Great ACC men's soccer last night. Streamed live here on the ACC Digital Network. Number 2 Notre Dame took the 1-0 lead in the 59th minute. But 2012 National Player of the Year Patrick Mullins answered for 8th-ranked Maryland, and it ended in a 1-1 draw. More great ACC soccer tomorrow at 7 p.m. The Notre Dame women's team, 9th in the nation, visiting number 1 Virginia, and the Cavs are a perfect 12-0. You can see all the action at 7, streaming on the ACC.com, and that's the ACC Now, brought to you by Ruby Tuesday. The Jameis versus Tajh Heisman debate gets sorted out a week from Saturday, but they're not the only ACC stars putting up some record-breaking stats. That's next. Solid work, Juice. Thank you. I didn't realize you guys had re-put it back in. Thank you. So I guess you do have these scripts then. Okay. This is what we promise to you here at the ACC Digital Network every week during football season. It's as much as you could ever want, and I say that knowing that we're supposed to under-promise and over-deliver. CP's top 3 this week, the top 3 Pitt Panther newcomers. They've helped Pitt get off to a nice start this season. Tomorrow, of course, it's the throwback game, and Saturday, game day. Highlights and must-see moments all day here on the ACC Digital Network. And welcome back to ACC Live. I'm Jeff Fischel. On both sides of the ball, we're seeing some very strong performances in the ACC. In fact, some players are among the leaders in all of college football. And we start with number 1, the number 1 rusher in the country, Andre Williams, with that 263-yard, 5-touchdown performance against Army. He leads the nation in rushing yards per game. Steve Adazio said he wanted to bring toughness to BC. You're seeing it happen right away with the way the Eagles are grinding out yards on the ground. Clemson's defensive end, Vic Beasley, leads the nation in sacks. Dabo Swinney was telling me a story before the season how the national media couldn't name any of his D linemen. I would say Vic Beasley has answered that challenge and then some, 8 sacks. But right behind him, Aaron Donald. And Donald's 6 sacks may even be more impressive because he's a D tackle, not a defensive end. Donald proving his performance last year was not just a result of being in the Big East. He's now stepped it up in the ACC. Jameis Winston is second in the country in pass efficiency, 19 total touchdowns, just 2 interceptions, completing 73% of his passes, 1,441 yards passing. Those numbers are incredible and eerily similar to, Tajh Boyd, 1,449 yards passing. Tajh, 18 total touchdowns, also just 2 picks. He's completed 66% of his passes. Tajh, he carries such a huge offensive load for Chad Morris. In fact, Boyd carries the ball 11 times a game, too. And Michael Campanaro, 5th in the country, averaging nearly 9 receptions per game. He is Tanner Price's go-to guy. He's already had a 12-catch game and a 16-catch game. That tied the ACC record he already shared. And those are your top national leaders. One last note, this is an important day in ACC history. 16 years ago today, the great Dean Smith retired. He left the game number 1 all-time in wins at the time with 879, and of course the 2 national titles. But he also left a long history of great players who considered him one of the great role models in their lives. I'm Jeff Fischel. Thanks for watching ACC Live. See you next Wednesday.